We just crossed the Missouri state line. We're in Missouri.
Even the GPS said, "Welcome to Missouri."
Home, come on home. Ye who are weary, come home. Here we are in the middle. We're in the middle of Nebraska.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
It's a long state.
Second day of traveling. The first day was late afternoon into the evening.
Yep.
And now it's Friday, and we are halfway through Nebraska on our way.
Anyway, we are on our way to Missouri, and I will tell you this: we are in the land of cheap gas. We found it for $1.76.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Very different from where we've been. So, Saturday morning.
We're close. We're close. We're close.
We're at the Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri border area. Don't know.
Sorry.
The navigator hasn't been able to keep really good track of exactly what's where, so we don't know.
I need to sit
where
closer to you, but I'm in my seatbelt way over here.
So we're like 130 some miles out of Kansas City.
138.
So.
And we're 2 hours from
it's
Kansas
changing
City.
Every second.
Woo! We're not excited or anything. We had a great night's sleep. It was really good.
It's green here, even though it's fallish. It's much greener than we're used to.
Cheap gas prices, and did I say we had a really nice sleep last night? Because it was a super long day yesterday. I don't even know how long it was.
Yeah, it was a long one.
But my hero here, he just did amazing. So anyway, awesome.
We just crossed the Missouri state line. We're in Missouri.
Even the GPS said, "Welcome to Missouri."
Everybody's going with us, it looks like.
So there is our house. Look at that beautiful tree behind it turning fall. Our little barn with the chicken coop coming out. They've extended the chicken yard since we were here. And the front of our barn with some of their things around it. We want to show you what we're doing. This is part of the loafing shed. You can see how bad the barn wood is on it. It's not as bad up top, really bad at the bottom. This side is actually where the animals would come in and eat. We've got stuff in here, junk right now. But we have taken down this entire wall. Hi, Jim. And we took all of our stuff from the U-Haul and put it onto shelves that we had in Nevada. And they are all attached to the wall in here. And so we want to make a wall here that makes them safe, because this actually did have an opening where you could drive through. And so we've taken the whole thing down, and we are building a wall and then gonna panel it with outside paneling. And this is our idea of a vacation.
It's fun. What can I say? We enjoy it.
We're working on the farm.
We're together. I mean, that's what vacations are about. Going places and doing things you enjoy together. All right.
Tell them how, there's no problems with anything here.
Well, the barn
is a barn.
It's a shed, essentially. And when it was built, I don't know if everything was square. But over the years, there have been some movement. Some of the walls have gone out like this or like that. So the bottoms and the tops aren't the same distance apart. So that creates a bit of a problem. A lot of the wood has had termites in it. There's a lot of rot from maybe being wet as well. So some of the wood is not real sturdy. The construction is 30-inch centers.
This is really old barn shed. It was 30 on center, but this is the reason it's worth keeping. That is a beautiful ceiling. and it's in really, really great shape. So little by little, once we move here, we'll replace each set of the walls and make them better.
Right to the middle of it.
Y'all might notice there's something in the back here. That's the back of the barn. We're standing in the pasture.
For those of you who haven't watched all the videos, no, we haven't moved back completely.
We moved all of our stuff back, but we won't
And stored it.
and fixed it and worked at it, and we'll show you that in a minute. But we are in the pasture and where we're going to put our high tunnel.
Yep.
And we've just been measuring it out and deciding, you know, we sat in Nevada and would get a Google map and open it up and try.
This is better than a Google map, by the way. You can hear the birds.
Oh yeah, and you can actually measure.
Yeah.
Which is what he's been doing here with our measure wheel. And so we figured out where the hoop house is going to go. We figured out
Unless we change our mind again.
we figured out where the hoop house is going to go. And
we've been thinking about putting it to where it runs north and south, and there were some reasons for that. But as we've looked at the land that's here, the way that it lays, the slope that's here, and there's already some water abatement.
Deviation.
Heavy water flow that's in place that we wouldn't have to do. Now, we're going to want to swale things eventually, but you don't do everything all at once. So taking advantage of what's here makes sense. But an east to west high tunnel in a lot of ways makes sense. You know, there's reasons for doing both, and I think with the way we want to use ours for longer seasons, the east to west is really the better bet, and that's what we're going to do.
We also are making a road from back there that comes past the walnut tree and around here and goes down there to that pasture, which is our bottomland. You may see some cows way down there. That's people who are here right now. And there is not a good way to get in there, so we'll be having a good gate to get into that. Just a few of our projects, our brains.
Yeah, just planning ahead for what we're going to... When we first bought this land, we were thinking 5 acres. 15 was beyond our imagination of what we could do. But since then, we've learned a lot about what can be done, what needs to be done, how much land you need to take care of animals. And we can see that we're going to need 15 acres. We can't have a large number of animals, but 15 acres can allow us to feed the animals from our acreage without any trouble as we manage it correctly, especially in a climate like this.
Yes. And when we were here before, we were working on house. Of course, we did have some goats and we had chickens and pigs and things, and we did things, but now we're going to really be able to...
Yeah, there's still some work on the house, things that need to be done, but nothing that we have to get done before anything else can happen. We can prepare for a project, get everything ready to go, and live as we slowly work through that project without any trouble. And so that'll make those projects easier, which means preparing gardens, taking care of animals, those can take precedence. We're excited about that.
Yep. So at the beginning, we set up a video that showed the part of our, what was it?
I don't know.
Loafing shed.
Oh, the loafing shed, yes.
That we were putting our items in. So let us show you what we did. Now, crude. Actually, the side we showed you to begin with, it's turning out pretty good.
Yes.
It's not completed because there's still some structure work, and we ran out of time now. The other side, crude, but we're very excited and proud about what we've done because we feel good about the way our stuff is stored.
Right. Where you see this wall, there used to be a drive-through. This side of this building was a pull-through for whatever could fit, and we filled it up with this because we don't want the weather coming through here because our items are stored in there. We also put at the bottom here some help to abate the water a bit that comes. We're a bit downhill. If you look up there, you can see that we're downhill, so the water tends to flow kind of this direction but it can go in here, and it has ran through here. When it rains here, it rains. So we get, those of you who live in this part of the country who've been here, you know what I'm talking about. So we get a lot of water flowing through. Things are stored in here, so we really don't want them to be damaged with the water.
So we've got plastic coming up behind boards.
None of it's perfect. It's going to be a problem. Now we also took our BCS with the rotary plow, and we made this ditch, which is kind of, it runs around it. So it kind of, as the water's coming down the hill, it's going to catch most of it and run it on down to where it goes down the hill. And from here you probably can't see it very well, but there's a larger ditch that goes down this way down to our lower pond that's down there. So we're trying to take this water, instead of having it go through the yard where the house is, to take it on out that direction. We're going to probably put another one of these in eventually closer to the house to take that water away down towards that ditch, and that keeps so much of the water from running into the house and under the house. That's really what we're striving to do here. Now, we had talked about doing swales when we were here. We didn't get to that. We did some practice with the BCS with the rotary plow. Actually, what do they call it? It's got a different name than that. It's a rotary plow. And it cut this down. I went through 3 times to cut it down this deep and that wide.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a ground buster, I think it's called. Anyway, it took all the rocks, broke them up, and moved them to the side. But to do a swale, what we do, this is not on the contour. This is going downhill. If we were to be doing a swale, it would be, more coming this direction to go with the contour, so the water would get captured and held right there. But the principle is the same. It's just where you put the ditch at.
Now we're going to show you the amazing inside. This is what we've done on the other side. This part is open and a loafing shed and still has a lot to do. We had to choose what to do with our time that we had, and this blocks off the other end of where the cars drove through. Oh, there's my shirt. So we've got all the stuff in here ready to actually move into our home when we get it. And we took the side and put plastic from top to bottom all the way, so that if any rain wants to come into the barn that way, it's done. But that's the back of the wall that we were just standing out in front of when Jim was talking. There's the table that Ben Holler made for us. It's holding all of our shelf wood right now, but it is rightfully back in Missouri. We're home. We've been home in a whirlwind week.
Yeah.
Catching up with homework and tomatillos and
learning how to live without things that we've been used to having when we needed them.
Right.
Like, I want to go get. Oh,
it's not here anymore.
It's in Missouri now.
We do want to tell you about one more incident that we had in Missouri. You are seeing pictures of Jim and Sierra, and they are milking Missy, the brown Swiss cow. Missy is a cow that we hope to purchase.
We'll see.
Yes, Missy got pregnant with the neighborhood bull.
Who had crossed over the fence when the electric fence was turned off.
So anyway, she's an older cow who's very, very gentle, and we were seeing how she milked. And I had been milking her earlier, and then obviously I was too slow for Sierra. So
she does it not every day, but frequently.
Yeah, we had to. She has another cow that she milks. Anyway, we just wanted to show you and introduce you to our possible cow that we're going to have there. It's been on the property for a year. So, what else? We had a great time. Don't you love it when it looks like that?
I was going to help. I wasn't going to invent.
Okay.
We had known that taking this trip to Missouri right now was helpful, so that we could take everything that needed to go in one trip. And we hadn't realized how we'd feel as we got into Missouri, saw the area, and it wasn't what we were seeing and so forth, but it was what we were feeling. It felt like we're going back home. Now, we'd only lived there a year, and, we have family ties that go back a long way, but really nothing distinct that would connect us other than that. But it felt like back home. I mean, for somebody to say that, it can be a casual statement and so what, but for somebody who has been
everywhere,
a lot of places and made home a lot of places, to feel like we were going back home, I can think of a lot of the places we've been, they're nice, but they wouldn't feel like going back. Like when we were in Arizona for your mom's
funeral,
the burial that was there, right?
Right.
It was familiar. We'd been there a while. We had a lot of connections to it, but it did not feel like home at all.
No.
It felt foreign, very foreign.
Yeah, but this did.
And when we went back to Sunnyvale, where we'd been in the Air Force for 4 years, it was different, and it did not feel like home.
5 years.
Yeah, didn't feel like home. So for us to genuinely feel that way was significant, and it was wonderful to feel that way.
It was. We are so glad that we went, because the excitement of going back is just like, we're not like, oh, we've got to get through in all these days and we'll just cross them off really fast so we can go. We have so much still to accomplish here.
Yeah.
And things that we're doing, but every day that we accomplish something great, we're a day closer to going.
There were a lot of logistical concerns about transitioning from here to there and how that was all going to work out. And a lot of the unknown questions got answered by us being there, which if we had waited until March or April, or, that's what our plans are right now, then working out the details at the end would have been pretty ragged, I think. Yeah. But now
we did actually move it up a month.
Yes.
We did move it up a month for a logistical reason. And we were going to move this trailer there and pull the trailer across. And I think we'd been in the car about 6 hours before we determined we were not going to do that.
We're not going to make that kind of trip again.
Nope, we're not doing that kind of anxiety. We don't need it. We're crossing anxious things off. Yep. So we're selling our 30-foot really nice trailer here. And
this is probably a better market for it. Although it's interesting, we had to register it in Missouri, and we hadn't been able to do it till we were there now, because you have to do it in person, which is absurd. This has been our first time to be in person there, so it's been we had to pay a late fee, because we were a year late. And it's just,
the reason we had to do it there is because that was our address at the time when we bought it. So
that was the only address.
It's the only address we had.
So we had to, but as we're sitting there going through the paperwork, the guy sitting next to us, also doing some paperwork on some vehicles, says, "Are you selling a trailer?
Do you want to sell it? Do you want to sell it?" We're like,
"Well, it's not here.
It's not here.
It's in Nevada, so that's kind of a challenge." Okay. So if that's an omen that selling it will be easy, that's great. But we know that in the area where we are, there are a lot of people who come here for work, sometimes temporary, sometimes before they move their family here, and they need a place to stay. So
that's what our son-in-law did.
A lot of people stay in travel trailers for a while, sometimes extended times. So we think this is a good marketplace for it.
Anyway, we're going to sell it. The logistical thing is, when does it sell, and where do we live when it sells, or are we already gone? All that kind of stuff. Or
do we wait till almost the end and then it's not sold and we're going? And so it's,
Yeah. Anyway, that's one of the last things we have to work out. Last but not least, I have a little turtle here that I bought. It's a abalone shell.
Abalone.
Abalone. And I had a wonderful little trip with my grown-up granddaughters that are in Colorado. We went to Estes Park together and did some jewelry shopping.
Last day of the season shopping. Most of the shops were closing. It's going to be winter there.
Anyway.
Which, by the way, the next day it snowed.
It did.
So winter was coming.
We, this week, have worked really hard on getting my book out and ran into every obstacle we could possibly run into, and it is still not out. But please go check periodically and see at Amazon. It is called Tawny is a Turtle. I will put the other video up here so that you can, listen to it and see it. I have to say that we can't make it through the book without crying. It's a really good book, and the artwork just made it come alive.
It did.
So
it did.
We hope that you will consider purchasing a couple of these books for people for Christmas. It should absolutely be out before the middle of this week. So
we're learning Amazon. Well, it's Kindle Direct Publishing is what it's called, and every time we think we've got it right, there's something not right. So, and we've clicked the submit button one more time, and we got a different reaction than what we thought we'd get out of it. So, within 72 hours. So,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyway, we really would. It's our book, so yes, we're biased, but it's a really good book. So, thank you. We hope you enjoyed our Missouri trip.
We did.
We did. And we are now 5 months and counting.
Patiently. Most of the time.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.